Hey guys, welcome to our live education session. Sorry about that, just a few little technical issues. Hopefully that's all sorted now. Welcome. Just want to thank you all for watching my last video about deliberate actions. The support was amazing. I really hope you get the most out of my video today about self-review. Also, thanks everyone that gave us a little bit of feedback. We're all about improving ourselves here at Icons Rugby and Icons Training Centre, and we appreciate that very much. So, I guess tonight, the important thing, what we're talking about is about self-review, and I've sort of split that up into two things. I've split it into self-reviewing a game, any particular game that you're watching, or potentially you can actually do a self-review on your season, how you went. The ups and downs, improving as a player, all those sorts of things. So initially I'm going to talk about self-reviewing a game. And this is just really a simple thing, a simple way of reviewing your game and getting the most out of what you did in that game, and understanding whether you had a positive impact or a neutral impact on the game. And this is just something that I've picked up from my time when I was playing rugby league, and I've just carried that through to my rugby union days. With self-review, obviously it's going to be a lot easier if your game was filmed and you can actually go back and, second by second, pause, play, rewind, and get those specific points and really help with your stats gathering, and knowing exactly sort of how much work you did and how much work you got through. But really the most important thing when you start doing this, whether you've got a video or whether you are just reflecting on the game, is to be really hard on yourself. The biggest point of doing this review is being accountable. Knowing what you did well, knowing what you did right. And I'll tell you a little story about self-review and that someone told to me out in the southwest when I was playing a bit of footy out in Chinchilla. Had some really good times and got a really good sort of lesson from that. But the first thing, specifically with rugby union, obviously rugby league is a lot easier. You can really break your game down into running the ball, tackling, passing, depending on if you're a ball player, then potentially a little bit of kicking as well for field position. But with union, there's all these key components to the game. If you're a second rower, you've got line-out jumping, you've got scrums, as well as every other part of the game. So I think the first thing you need to do is you need to sort of have a think, okay, what are the key components of the game? We've got tackling, we've got rucking, if you're a 7, counter rucking, turnovers, carrying the ball, line out scrums, as I mentioned before, offloads, if you're a 5'8" or a fullback or a centre, even halfbacks to an extent, kicking the ball. And from these sort of key components of the entire game, what are the key aspects of your game? I personally, I'm a big believer of having a balanced team. I don't want 8 ball runners in my forward pack. All 8 players need to be able to carry the ball, but I think it's important to, really have 2 or 3 main ball carriers. They're the guys that are going to get you meters. They're the guys you want ball in hand. and have a think about, okay, well, what is my role? What is my role in the team? Are you a do-it-all player? Are you, master of none, but I do a little bit of everything? That's what I do for my team. Or are you like in my sort of team, are you that horse for a course? You're the ball runner for this game, you're a worker for the next game, you're a playmaker for another game. What are you? And it is called self-review, but it's really important to go talk to your coach. What does your coach want you to be in their team? If you don't know that, you could review your game and go tick, tick, tick. He looks at your game, goes, you did everything I didn't want you to do. You're not the best ball carrier. You carried the ball 20 times. I would have preferred it to be in the hands of the guy next to you, who is, 7 foot and 120 kilos, and basically falls over and makes meters. So it's really important that you've had that communication, and that you know what he wants from you. If you can't communicate with your coach, check out Kurto's video from the other night. Go check out the Icons Rugby YouTube channel. All our sort of educational videos are now up there. It's called Communicating to Coaches, and that's really going to help you, because without knowing what they want you to do, it becomes very difficult to improve. And a lot of people go, oh shit, there's a ceiling. I can't get through this ceiling. And the reason there's a ceiling is because there's a misunderstanding between what he wants from you and what you're giving him. Okay? Now, I would expect that most coaches are going to go, oh shit, well, Manuel carried the ball 20 times. Maybe Manuel's a ball carrier. I'm actually going to rejig my team. He did well in that aspect, if I did well, and I'm going to put another worker in my team to balance me becoming a ball runner. But that's a different thing. That's about coaching. So we're talking about self-review here. So what are the aspects of your game? And what are the key aspects? And what are you trying to achieve? So, for instance, let's talk about tackling. It's really easy, really sort of simple thing. You can grade it very easily. So basically what you do is you give yourself a point if you tackle the person and you take a meter off them. If you tackle the person and they don't gain a meter, you don't gain a meter, it's 0 points. It's a neutral position. And if you make the tackle, they end up on top of you, meter past you, it's a negative point. Okay? So can we see straight away there that all of a sudden I've got this point gauging system? Okay, I'm going to go back through my game and I'm going to go, okay, well, first minute of the game, off the kickoff, I got to the person who caught the ball, but he stepped me, I made a legs tackle, he made 2 meters. Okay, that's a negative. In terms of a perspective, yeah, you got to the drop, great work, but the job was to either stop him in his tracks, neutral, or the best option is tackle him, drive him back, make meters for your team, even though you don't have the ball, therefore you get a point. And what you need to do is you need to grab your 3 or 4 key aspects of the game. Mate, you can do an exhaustive list if you want, and go through all of these things and grade yourself. I might end up with only six tackles for 3 points. I ended up with a 50% grading for tackles. I might end up with 12 carries, 8 positive, but my 4 negatives were 4 turnovers. Brings me back down to only 4 points. And you can sort of see the scoring ability there. But that's just the start. Obviously you can't just go, okay, I've got a score, I scored 15 points, that must be good, I scored 15 points. No, you have to go back And then you have to actually have a look at someone who plays a similar position in your team, does a similar job, and see what they did for the game. You know, you have to compare yourself. And if there isn't someone in your team who does a similar job to you, compare yourself to the grade above. You know, if you're playing first grade and you're a inside centre and the Prem Reserve inside centre, you know, within clubs, a lot of the time, everyone's doing the same stuff. You know, the centres are going to be the same, the outside centres are going to be the same, we're going to have same types of 10s, we've got same types of number 7s, same types of number 8s. So compare yourself to that guy who played Premier Grade. I remember last year, not this season, but last year in Brothers, we had this conundrum. We had all these back rowers. We had back rowers playing second row. And, you know, that was through Prem Reserves, first grade, second grade. And all the boys were arcing up. The boys are going, mate, I should be ahead of that guy. No, I should be ahead of that guy. So what we had to do as a coaching staff is we had to go through and we watched 3 games and we graded every single back rower. You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in second grade, first grade, Prem Reserves. And a lot of the time, it was really easy. And the reason why it was really easy, because the guy who was playing Prem Reserves, he was doing like 30, 35 clean-outs, you know, ball carries, all those sorts of things. And you could just go, mate, well, he's done 35 clean-outs, 5 ball carries, 1 every line-out. He's doubled your workload, same amount of minutes. He's got the tick. It becomes a very sort of simple thing, and unfortunately for myself, you know, coaching first grade, we don't get our games filmed. So you really have to rely on impacts. You have to rely on remembering how the game flowed and who did what you saw a lot of, and go by communicating with the other coaches. What did you see? What did you see? And so for yourself, if you end up in a team that isn't getting a filmed game, how do you review your game? Okay, and that's where this positive, neutral, negative is such a good thing, because I can go, okay, well, I had 2 involvements in the first half, both were positive, there's 2 points. I had a really good carry in the middle of the first half, there's another point. I did a really big hit on our own line, turned the ball over, you know, there's another point. And I can say, okay, well, straight away from the game, I can count that I had 15 positive interactions in the game. That's normally you'd say, okay, that's pretty good. Now, that's obviously not knowing what other people are doing. But straight away you can say, okay, well, of the 15 things that I did in the game, there were 15 positives. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of people go, oh, I was 4th man in on a ruck, I sealed it. That's a point. That's not a point. Was there a hard counter ruck? Was there a reason that you needed to be there? Was that ruck not set up? Was it not under control? And like, to me, you know, unless you're absolutely needed, there should be only one guy over the ruck. He can take care of himself. Don't worry about him. Get around the corner, get a touch, do something, have a positive impact. Okay? Yeah, if you see a counter ruck and you go back in there and you win the ball back, sweet. That's positive involvement. You actually did something to help your team. And, you know, that's how it comes back to making yourself accountable. You know, I see a lot of people that give a lot of flack to all these hookers that throw lineouts then stay on the blind side. I have no issue with that. I have zero issue with a hooker throwing a line out, ball goes across the field, 2 phases later comes back, hooker runs the ball. That's his job. He knows that in 3 phases he's going to get a touch. And his positive interaction is catching that ball, beating a 1-on-1, retaining possession. But where it changes is if that guy's waiting on that wing, on the blind side, where he threw the line out for 7 phases. That's 6 phases that he could have been involved in. Okay, so it's really important to understand the situation that you're in when you're doing this self-review and point yourself accordingly. Now, I mentioned before that the 4th man in on a ruck, getting over the ball, there's no point there. Okay, so what about the guy who's in the pot of 3, ball carrier carries the ball, closest guy cleans out, 3rd guy seals the ruck? Does he get a point for what he's doing? Is he necessary? Well, I look at it and I go, okay, well, if he wasn't there, what happens? The game goes to shit. Someone dives on that ball, someone puts their hands in there, some idiot from the other team kicks the frickin' thing and ruins life. So look at your game, be very specific, talk to your coach about what it is that he wants you to do, and then score yourself accordingly. You know, that's a positive impact for me. That guy who's a 3rd guy, boom, he's over the ball. He's making sure that our ball for our team is protected. We can go fast or we can go slow. Whatever we need to do, whatever is important. You know, speaking of which, I'm coaching a team down at Nudgee at the moment. And we've got this kid. He doesn't run the ball. I think he probably touched the ball in his hands once a game. He probably doesn't tackle either. He maybe makes 1 or 2 tackles a game. He's not tall. He doesn't jump in the line out. So what am I getting to? What is his role? And it's funny because I was talking to Rhett Cope, my co-coach, and we're like, what does this kid do? And we were watching the first half of the game versus Brisbane Grammar School, and this kid was literally sealed over the ball 2 out of every 3 rucks. I don't even know how that's possible. How was he getting from a ruck that he just sealed to the very next phase and sealing over that ball? But, you know, that was what he does. That's what he brings to the team. He allowed other guys to do what is their strengths. Catch, pass, run the ball, clean out, whatever is necessary. But he was that guy that he was just at every ruck, the 3rd man, sealing over the ball. And, you know, in terms of his contribution, it was all positive. You know, if he did that 30 times in a game, that was his contribution. We didn't lose any pill. He was sealed over the ball. All the ball was good. Okay, so I'd mark him. I'd mark all of those inputs as positive. But yeah, so, as I was saying, tackling, rucking, counter-rucking, turnovers, whatever is the key component of your game, whatever it is the coach is asking you to do, mark those. Go in, 1 point for a positive interaction, 0 for neutral, -1 point for a negative interaction. Okay? And, a lot of people will go, hey, I retained possession. Is that what we're looking for? Is that what we're trying to achieve? No, we're trying to go forward. We're trying to score tries. We want to win. I talk all the time about defence. I want to score points in defence. I want us to get off the line, beat them to the advantage line, make the tackle. Even if you make a legs tackle, but you've won 4 metres in the advantage line, you've already won. Give yourself a point. If the advantage line is 4 metres back, you tackled a guy who's 2 metres tall, 4 metres back, you won 2 metres. There's a point. Win every day of the week. And if you do that as a team, mate, you're gonna take teams who are attacking backwards, force them to kick. We get the pill. We can have some fun with the ball. And it's really funny because from this game review, you'll notice that you'll get patterns. You do a couple of these in a row, and you're going to get patterns, and you're going to go, oh, wow, it's really weird. On this particular game, I scored really well. And then on the next game, I scored really poorly. And if you're keeping a really good review of yourself, you can have a look at it and go, okay, well, what was the key to me playing a good game? Did I have a particular preparation? Did that work for me? Did the coach have a motivational speech with 25 F-bombs in it? Is that what got me geared up? Was it my nutrition? Did I have, protein shake or water consumption? How much water did I drink? Did I drive into the field for the game with my favourite song on? Got me in a great mood. Boom, that's exactly what it is. And if you find those keys to helping you have a good game, then straight away the self-review has already helped you, because it's helped you to go, okay, well, I need to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 before I get on the field, and then everything will start working without me. Personally, I wanted to get the first touch in the game. If they were kicking off to us, I want the first crash ball. If I get that first crash ball, boom, I'm in the game, I've got a touch, everything's after that can just flow. I'm in the game, I'm in the arm wrestle. And that really helped me. I won't go too much into my choice of songs for before the game, but whatever sort of gets you in the right frame of mind is going to help. And being able to identify, because you did game reviews, what worked and what didn't is really important. And you'll notice if you go and watch any of the Super Rugby games, how different some of the Super Rugby clubs, their preparation is. I went and watched the Melbourne Rebels, I believe it was. The Melbourne Rebels do no teamwork. Everything is individual warm-up. There's, 2 guys kicking the ball to each other, catching high balls. There's another 2 guys in the try line doing A skips and B skips and C skips. That's how they like to warm up. There's a couple of forwards pummeling. They basically came together at the end for about 2.5 minutes and did some teamwork just before they went back in the sheds to run on the field. But obviously, due to their game review, their preparation, they worked out that that's what works out for them. And, as I said, it's really about being hard on yourself and marking yourself accordingly. And I mentioned at the start that I was out at Chinchilla in Year 10, and the guys used to tell us this story about, I can't remember what the old Broncos recruitment guy. The old Broncos recruitment guy was had scouted this young guy who was 19, 20, killing the Southwest Rugby comp in A grade, and so Wayne Bennett came out, and so he came and watched this kid play. And this, back in the early 2000s, if you made 25 tackles and 12 hit ups and scored a try, you were at the top of the game. None of this crazy Cameron Smith 55, 60 tackles business. 25 tackles was huge. That was like a full game worth of work. And on top of this, he scored a try and he had 12 hit ups and sort of did a bit of everything. And so the story goes that Wayne Bennett went up to him after the game and goes, "Did you do everything you could in the game?" And the guy goes, "Mate, I made 25 tackles, I did 12 hit-ups. I did what I needed to do." And Wayne Bennett goes, "Did you do everything you could do? Did you give it all you could give?" And this kid goes to Wayne Bennett, "No, I probably could have made 35 tackles. Probably could have made 20 hit-ups." Wayne Bennett walked out of the room. Kid didn't get signed because he didn't put it all out there. He didn't do everything that he could do. And that's why it's really important to be super hard on yourself. Because I guarantee you, all the best players out there, they're looking at their game going, "I only made 9 metres. I could have made 10 metres. Oh, I offloaded the ball. If I had waited one more second, drew that player in a little bit closer, and then offloaded, we probably got a try." Even their best moments, they look at and go, "I could have done this better." So it's really important that you're hard on yourself. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually have an e-book for that, just with some points. Obviously, I don't have a whiteboard or anything behind me to lay that out so that you guys can do a self-review on yourself. But we'll provide that. If you want that, just flick us a message and we'll get that to you. So, moving on. So, season review. What do you do at the end of the season? Specifically, if I've done all these game reviews, it's going to really assist me to put together a season review and go, okay, well, did I have a good season or didn't I have a good season? Okay, it's really good to have a look at your season from a step back and have a look at, okay, well, here's some really good games. I've built up really good, and then we have this lull period, where we lost some games by some big margins and my head wasn't in it, didn't really get a lot of stats. My interactions in the team were all negatives. I didn't really get many positives. And then looking at the last 5 games, I was building up again. And the season review is the snapshot specifically is very good because you can track that back normally all the way to your preseason, and you can have a look and look at your loads and say, okay, well, I went too heavy, or I was too ripped, too cut, too seasoned coming into round 1, that by the time I hit round 10, I just completely fell off the cliff. I was ruined, I was tired, I had no energy, that it took me 2-3 slow games to then build myself back up. And, you can tell a lot about that sort of stuff. I know at Brothers, we had a really interesting season this year because we had a couple of double buys in the middle of the season, and then buy here, buy there. So we really tried to work hard to do 4, 5, 6 really heavy weeks before tapering off for 2 or 3 weeks and having light weeks to then build up again. And that was just for us. That was a little bit of season management. But getting back, that's really important, just because so that you can have a snapshot and you can go, okay, well, what could I do better to improve my consistency through the season? Do I need to go into the first round just a little bit underdone because I know that I'm going to get that fitness going through? And it's really important to go talk to your strength and conditioning coach, or come in, have a chat to Curto. I know Curto's got some really good ideas about certain ways to get through pre-season and what to do during the season to maintain an optimum performance. Okay, but then also when you have a look at your season review, as I said in my last coaching video, that the deliberate actions and doing my review with my coach after my first season of Premier Grade, we had another snapshot. He gave me some feedback. So seek feedback from your coach. Okay, from a season perspective, for me to go to a higher grade, what do you think it is that I need to work on? For me, it was my foot speed, it was my weight, and I was turning over the ball straight away from those 3 points. I had 6 or 7 coachable lessons that I could go and I could practice. The maintaining your weight has a lot of different actions that you can do to sort of get to that point, turning over the ball. I could work on my footwork, and I could work on my strength and my power, about getting through the line, practice rolling, practice placing the ball, all these sorts of little things. And then from there, in terms of self-diagnosis, I would have a look around the clubs. Have a look at your club. What grade are you playing? What is the guy who's playing above you? What is he doing? What are his key roles? How is he better than you? What can he do which is different to you? Oh, he's got this bullet pass. He can throw it 25 metres left to right, right to left. I can only throw it 20 metres left to right, right to left. Okay, well, there's some things I can work on to improve that. He doesn't miss a tackle. He's excellent. He's always pushing the pressure in defence. I don't do that as much. Wow, okay, I can do that as well. Why is he doing that? He's doing that because he is super fit and his communication is awesome, and because he's super fit, he can just go all day. He's constantly pushing up, putting pressure on the guys leading his team. Okay, I can work on that. I can do that as well. What else is he doing? Oh my God, he's got this left boot that goes 60. Okay, I don't have a left boot that goes 60, but I can improve my kick this off-season. I can get it from a 35-metre kick to a 45-metre kick just with repetition. What's his game awareness like? He knows when he needs to kick in certain situations. He knows when he can run in certain situations. He knows that if he runs right now, the coach is going to bench him because he has given the coach a heart attack. Review yourself against a peer. If I'm a 5'8", as a Prem Reserve, anywhere in the Brisbane Club Rugby comp, I'm looking at the guys who are doing the job week in, week out right now. I'm looking at guys like Paddy James. I'm looking at guys like Jakey Strong. These guys have been playing 5'8" Premier Rugby the last 2-3 years. What are they doing to maintain it? Paddy James is an NRC player. What is he doing to be an NRC player? How do I compare my game to his? What can I do to be better? Okay, and it's all about what position you're playing. Who are the second rows? Who are the second rows that are year in, year out Premier Grade players? Becoming NRC players. Compare yourself to them. What are they doing? We played. I watched the East Rugby Union Premier Grade versus Brothers this year. Is it Michael Gunn? Is it Gunny? Gunny is the open side flanker. Mate, he destroyed us. He was awesome. What did he do? What does he do week in, week out? Why is he the second, third string Queensland Reds player? What is he doing really well? Okay. Be comparable. I would watch these guys tape. I would watch the highlights of their games, and I would look at them and I'd go, okay, well, if he's an 8, where am I? Where am I on that table? Okay, I'm a 6. I've got to build up to an 8. I got to check my key components, and I go, okay, well, overall, as a rugby player, what is my rating for each key component? I'm a 10 at tackling. That's what I do. That's my bread and butter. But for turnovers, I'm a 5. I'm terrible. Can't get a turnover to save my life. Is that a key component of your game? Is that a key component of the position that you're playing? Is that a key component of what the coach wants you to do? I don't personally like to get caught up in body shape and size and people do this and people do that. I think rugby is a game of all shapes and sizes, and I think you can make it work with, 5'0" guys. You can make it work with only 2 or 3 line-out jumpers. What is it that you do for your team? What are the key components of your game that you're going to do for the season? If you're a 5'10" flanker and you're the, second or third jumper in your team, man, you better have some explosive power. You better be able to get up, boom, snap that ball out of the air. Because that's what you're going to need to do for that team. There's going to be moments in the game where they've got it figured out. They've got your 2 line-out jumpers who are 6'6" figured out. Okay, we're going to go to the front with the light guy. We're going to go to the front with the guy who's got quick hops to steal a couple of balls, take a bit of pressure off us. If you're the even shorter, if you're the 5'5" open side flanker, mate, you better be getting some turnovers. You better be getting over that ball. You better be coming out with some scar tissue on your face. That's how hard you got to work. Or maybe perhaps you're the devastating ball runner. Maybe that's your game. Pat Watson, you're definitely not the devastating ball runner. And you're too pretty to have cuts on your face. But, horses for courses. It really frustrates me going down and watching First 15 rugby, and I could literally pull out a ruler and go, every single person is the same height across the field. Every single person is the same shape across the field. Where 85 kilos between 5'10" and 6'1" robots. I don't think that is your best rugby. You need a big guy. You need a big guy who can run and hit. You need a big guy for your scrum. I was talking to Vanessa Bradley, ex-Wallaroo. I actually work with Ness. We talk about rugby all the time. She was talking about lack of props. Where are all the props gone? You know, look at Jeeps Rugby, who are in the grand final this weekend. They built their whole season around devastating every other team's scrum. I don't know exactly what they did. You know, I've got no idea about scrums, but they used that as a weapon. You didn't want to knock the ball on. If they knocked the ball on, you wanted to pick it up and quick play because you don't want to scrum against them. But anyway, I'm getting off the tangent a little bit. In terms of season review, rank yourself. Go back to those key components. Tackling, rucking, whatever it is that you bring to your team, rank yourself. Rank yourself against someone who is elite, someone who does the game that you think that you should be playing. Talk to your peers. What is the game that I should be playing? One of my best mates, I have a running argument with every year since we've been playing rugby. Oh, I want to be fitter. Oh, I'm not fit enough. Oh, I'm not fit enough. Mate, you're 6'3", you're 105 kilos, you're one of the biggest guys in the team. You know, that's Australian rugby for you. 6'3" second rower, that's, you know, as good as it gets most of the time. Mate, smash people and work on 10 metre speed. Beat a guy one-on-one, steal 5 metres on the ground. That's all you need to do. No, you don't need to be Richie McCaw. You know? I think sometimes a lot of people aspire to these Super Rugby players who are absolute freaks. I think if you found out what your key components are, found out what you needed to be good at, and became excellent at those things, then you can move on to the next thing. Then you can go and you know, work on being a 70-minute, 10-turnover player like Richie McCaw. He's a cheat, by the way, for all you Kiwis out there. Cheat. But anyway, you know, don't get caught up with trying to be everything. Don't be caught up with trying to be a 70-minute player who gets 5 turnovers, who runs the ball 20 times, who makes 30 tackles, who cleans out 50 rucks. It's impossible. It's impossible to do it all. Within your team, figure out what it is that your key components are and do them. Do them well. When necessary, if you're a ball runner and you get caught in a situation where I'm the closest guy, I need to clean out that ruck, sure, clean out that ruck. I'm not saying don't do it, but that's not your key component. Your key component is getting your hands on the ball. And if you see someone who is the person who cleans out the ruck and they're beside you and they've got their hands up wanting to run the ball, man, get out of the way. It's my job, bro. Don't take my pill, clean it out. You're good at that, I'm good at running the ball. Get out of my way. At the same time, it's really important that you know where your spots are. Get to your spots on the field to do your job. If you're a line-out jumper, and you're a really good line-out jumper, you better have a good relationship with the person who calls the line-outs, because otherwise you're never ever going to get the ball. Does that make sense, guys? But for season review, look at the season as a snapshot. Try to pick out your peaks and troughs. Try to pick out, okay, well, what's gone wrong in this period? What have I done differently? How can I improve that for next year? Secondly, find someone who you aspire to be like. Rate them on the scale. Then look at yourself. Where am I on the scale? Give yourself some deliberate actions to get yourself up that scale. mate, message that person. I'm sure they're doing extra kicking, extra passing, extra gym work, extra fitness. I'm sure they'd love someone to go and stand on the other end of the field and kick the ball back to them. I used to see Berwick Barnes when he was with the Reds. He'd be out on Ballymore Oval 2 all the time. He'd have 2 big bags of footies and he'd kick all of them, and then he'd go collect all of them and kick them back. I'm sure he was looking for someone to kick the ball back to him. You certainly would have made it easier. But yeah, as I said, boys and girls, hopefully it's only been a short tutorial, coaching, a few golden nuggets for you all today. Sorry, just check my notes, make sure we're all good. Rate yourself. Make sure you've compared yourself honestly to the other person. Speak to your coach. Speak to a peer about it. And then give yourself some deliberate actions to build up for the next season. If you are looking for some additional training, give us a call. We speak to a lot of people. We speak to a lot of people who are looking for help. We can't help everyone, and we'll push you to someone that hopefully has a similar goal to you, and you guys can work together. Okay? But that's it for me tonight. Hope you enjoyed my little bit of rambling and a few golden nuggets. Just remember, be great. Greatness starts here. Down at Icons Training Centre, Unit 432, Boothby Street, Kedron. Icons, we out.